Yo, this is StyleKrong, and I'm here trying out something a little different today with the YouTubes. I'm gonna do a replay review from Heroes of the Storm. Right away you can see in the chat that my team is kind of complaining about what the fuck they have two pros on their team. TrikSlyr and Sheth. Yeah, Sheth is an SU2 reject. If I remember correctly, Sheth used to be really popular in SU2. It's been a really long time since I've seen his name around though. So I was a little bit surprised to see his name pop up. I checked after the game and these are indeed, or that is indeed Cloud9 Sheth, so I know it's pretty common for people to sometimes just put Cloud9 in front of their name just to think they're all cool and stuff, but that is in fact a member of Cloud9, so I thought this would be a pretty cool replay to watch because I think both teams actually played really well this game, and I think it was pretty cool that we got to go against a couple of, I guess, official pro players. TrikSlyr there, Vala, is supposedly also a professional player, although I'm not sure what team they're from. So anyways, there's a lot of action going on right away here, as you can see. Both teams are actually playing insanely aggressive for level 1. I was playing Jaina this game. Pretty solid pick. I'd also like to focus a lot. You can see Sonya's going absolutely ham there. And she dies. But that's fine. I think Sonya actually ends up playing quite well towards the end of the game, although I have to say she did go a little bit too ham there. But anyways, one thing I wanted to focus in with TrikSlyr on this game is Murky's build for this map. It's actually like really unique. It's not too unique right now. I mean, Block is a standard pick, but as the game goes on, you'll see he takes some pretty unorthodox talents, and they actually end up working really, really well on this map. And I think they work pretty well on some other maps as well. But it was the first time I saw a Murky take this build and really be successful with it. So there's a lot of reasons why I picked this review to look over. So we have the first Immortal phase here. Just looking at the overall team comps to start out with, I would have to say that Red Team, which is the team I was on, probably has the better selection of heroes for this map for a number of reasons. And there's a few things wrong with the other team as well. First and foremost, if anyone's watched my stream, I've complained about it a lot, but Artanis is really just not in a good spot right now. I think he's really undertuned, and he needs something major to be done with his kit. I think they need to do something with his Q. His Q is pretty much the downfall of his entire kit. If you could be made unstoppable while you were queuing, or if you could manually stop yourself from sliding back, I think that alone would make him a much more viable hero. But as it stands, he's got so many gaps in his kit that there's so many better heroes that you can pick over him to fill his role. He does land a really, really nice Void Prison though, right there, or I think it's Warp Prison. But ends up getting killed, and we end up chasing Vala off the Immortal. So they end up losing the first Immortal phase pretty significantly, and as you can see, Sylvanas and Murky are both split pushing in these lanes. I kind of want to rewind here for a bit. Let's go back a little bit. I wasn't intending to really rewind because this replay is already going to be about 17 minutes as it stands. Maybe just a little bit more here. But I want to take a look and see how we actually came out ahead in that scenario when we were down Sylvanas and Murky. We basically won that engagement in, I think it was like a 3v4 or 3v5 maybe? But I'm kind of curious. Maybe some of their heroes were down beforehand. Okay, so they lost Stitches and Artanis. Although, if I remember correctly, Artanis is present when we actually engage. Oh no, here it is. Wait, no. What? Okay, Artanis is alive, but up here it says Artanis is respawning in 6 seconds. Okay, maybe the replay is bugged or something. Actually, yeah, his Bella is alive too, and it says she's dead, so maybe when I like rewound the replay bug. I have to say, if there's one thing I don't like about this replay system, it's that it's buggy as hell and like really clunky. But anyways, okay, so this is a 3v3 engagement, it looks like. Their Uther was down here trying to stop Murky, and Stitches was dead. Okay, so that's how we were able to afford having Sylvanas top, and Murky then subsequently goes down here and does a split push. So we get... This is probably the turning point for the game right here. We've already built up a 1-level lead, and now we have both lanes soaking XP and pushing, and we win the Immortal fight. So, pretty much... I would say if anything was a turning point in this game, it was probably that one fight right there, and that might be enough to snowball the entire game, but I'll have to see what happens. So Artanis is here, he dives in with Q, doesn't really accomplish much. These guys are defending now. Sonya going absolutely ham, as usual. I think she does manage to get this. So that's a pretty worthwhile trade. I come back after going to the healing well. I might die here, I can't remember now. Looks like I made it out. But again, we still have Murky pushing bottom, Sylvanas is pushing top. Vala finally goes up there to counter that. But yeah, as I was saying, team composition-wise, I think there's definitely some flaws with the blue team's composition. I'll go over those first, then I'll go over why red team has a better composition for this map. Before I do that, though, I would like to point out that Murky took Envenom as well as Slime Advantage, and these are two talents that I haven't seen picked too much by Murky players, but the meta may have changed. I was away for, I think, about a patch, maybe a patch and a half, so the meta may have changed and these two talents might be chosen more often now, but I think the meta pick when I was playing used to be the full pufferfish build for full AoE. But anyways, this guy seems to be going for more of a PvP / single target DPS build, and Slime Advantage might not look like it, but when you're trying to get damage done on the Immortal, that extra 100% auto attack damage is actually a lot. It really helps you burst down the objective quite easily. Right now we're just doing, this is pretty much just a filler portion of the game. It's like, oh, let's go get our merc camps, go do this, go do that. There's always a little bit of a cooldown period in between objectives. So I'll have some time now to... If anything happens here, it's probably just because Artanis gets caught. Yeah, Artanis gets caught there. It's nothing too spectacular to talk about. So blue team's composition... they're running Uther first of all, which... Uther is always a strong pick, but he synergizes really well with heroes that are aggressive and that really benefit from going all in. And they have a hero on their team that does that. They have Artanis. The only problem is Artanis is really not that strong of a hero. I think if you're going to pick Uther, you need to have someone really strong as a hero who goes all in. Someone like you know, standard picks like Illidan. Sonya is incredibly popular right now. She's actually really come back into the meta in a strong way. And here you can see the other team right now is basically just throwing. They're at that point where they're being picked off one by one, and they're not waiting to sync up with their team, and now they've got 3 people down for this Immortal phase, and they're going to fall even farther behind. So there's that. I think this part up here, actually, I go up to 1v1 against the Vala, and the Vala, I think this game, if I remember correctly, it's been, I think, close to a week since I played this game. It was still pretty memorable, though. So I end up killing that Vala. I find that she played really aggressively. Almost too aggressively into a Jaina. I think there's another portion later on where I'm 1v1ing against the Vala, and she ends up just letting me hit her with a whole bunch of spells. Although we may have already passed that part of the game. There was a lot going on at the same time. Hopefully I'll get a little bit more more focused at doing these replays. There's a lot going on. Even with the game being 17 minutes, there's a lot of stuff to cover. And I'm kind of just all over the place right now. But anyways, I'm going to go back to blue team's composition. So Artanis, probably not the strongest all-in melee character to pair with Uther. Uther's still a strong pick though. I just think when you get up to higher level games like these, being able to synergize the strengths of your heroes on your team is pretty much essential to winning. Unless you've got a truly all-around strong hero. Like, I think Jaina, for example, pretty much fits in literally any composition. You just can't go wrong with having slows on your team. But someone like Uther is really melee-oriented. Although, that being said, you can make him work in pretty much any composition. I just think you get even more benefit if you have a strong melee hero. Anyways, I'll move away from Uther now. Zagara on this map, really powerful pick, actually. I think Sheth's decision to go Zagara was a good choice. Typically, what happens... This is not a typical scenario, by the way. This game really, like, snowballed way out of control. We're 3 levels ahead. But Zagara on this map, she can place her creep tumors all over the place in the main center of the map, where most of the action takes place, where the game is usually decided. And it provides a lot of vision, which I think is the biggest part of this map, is being able to have vision in this center part of the map, because you'll notice the layout is, there's a bunch of rocks in the way here, so if anybody is standing in the middle, they're denied vision here, they're denied vision up this way, and these air vents as well deny vision, so it's actually really easy to utilize that lack of vision to get a lot of ganks, and a lot of gank potential. But if you can shut down people on Pony's messaging me, I can't really talk to him right now, but afterwards I will. If I dread Nuker, can we play? I'll probably play some games with him after, but anyways, this is a video, I need to ignore that. I should probably put myself on D&D when I do these, so I don't get messages. And again, I don't think I'm going to bother reviewing many of these team fights at this point in the game, because I think the main team fights already took place, and it was really just that one early on, that one team fight where they just went in 3v3 and lost, and because we have Sylvanas and Murky, it just let us push so hard that there was no coming back for them pretty much. I pretty much spoiled the game, but I think it's kind of obvious at this point that they're on track to lose. So for the last 7 minutes, I'll basically just go over general strategy for the map and the team compositions here. Murky, as you can see, went continuous slime. This is not an orthodox pick, at least I don't think it used to be, but again, really powerful on this map. He also took March of the Murlocs, which is unorthodox as well. I'm pretty sure Octograb, even now, since I've been back and playing a bit, Octograb is still the favorite. But March of Murlocs, it's really exploitable here in the middle, because there's so many walls that block different skill shots and stuff. But March of Murlocs goes right through that, so you can end up getting a lot of damage on a lot of different targets. Looking back at blue team's composition, their tank that they opted for is Stitches. Stitches has been getting a few buffs in the past few patches. He pretty much underwent a giga nerf. Like, they pretty much removed him from the game, and they've slowly been giving him tiny little buffs here and there, slowly reintroducing him back into the game. But I still feel like, unless you've got a composition that can really make use of his hooks, Stitches is a kind of mediocre pick. I think he's passable as a tank. I think he's passable, but I don't think he's great. That being said, our team doesn't have a dedicated tank besides Sonya, so maybe they thought that having Stitches would be enough to be a strong barrier for them, and they also have Artanis, who is kind of a bruiser like Sonya is. Not exactly the strongest for taking damage, but able to dish out some damage and also take a pretty good amount of hits. Again, there's just another team fight going on here. This one is a little bit closer. They've done a decent job of staying in this game, but again, you can see like health on Sonya is really low, but they just don't have enough power to actually close out the kills that they need to be closing out. Anyway, so Stitch's mediocre pick. I don't know if it was exactly the strongest. I think his hook is really powerful on this map because, again, you can hook people through walls and really make use of the lack of vision. And the Vala pick, I think the Vala pick was really strong here as well. Mostly because Vala, her mechanic is, as she attacks a target, she gains a stacking attack speed buff. So when you're looking to do single target damage, which is really, really important on this map for the Immortal phase, to burst down the Immortal as quickly as possible, Vala is able to, in a more standardized environment, unlike this game, is usually able to build up her stacks very easily, and then just stay glued onto the enemy Immortal and dish out a lot of damage, which usually secures you the objective. I think that pretty much covers everything on the blue team. I think the Zagara was a strong pick for the vision, and overall just does a lot of good damage. Vala was a strong pick for the attack speed. I think Stitches was a mediocre pick. It was okay. I think Uther is always a strong pick, but I feel like because they picked Artanis, he didn't really have anybody to synergize with, and so a lot of his value was lost because Artanis is just such a weak pick. So having said that, let's go over to red team and take a look at what went right with the red team's composition. As I said before, Jaina is probably, like, if you want to pick up one hero, if you're new to Heroes of the Storm and you want to pick up one hero that excels in every situation, you're going to want to pick up Jaina. Seriously, she has like no weaknesses in her kit whatsoever. She's like, because she has slows, she's not as vulnerable as Kel'Thas is. Kel'Thas, you'll find, if you like take one misstep forward in a high level game, you'll end up to start feeding and you'll just lose the game for your team pretty much. But Jaina, you can afford to make a few little blunders here and there, and because you have your slow mechanic, you can actually walk out of a lot of those situations without getting punished too much for them. In addition to that, the slow mechanic lets you chase down kills that you otherwise wouldn't get. As you can see, her damage output, along with the slows, is absolutely insane. You also get the Water Elemental, which can tank a lot of extra hits and even zone people out of the fight. Like, if I put my Water Elemental on to attack Vala in a team fight, she's pretty much gone from that team fight until they deal with the Water Elemental, which oftentimes during the chaos they won't focus down the Water Elemental. So there's that. So anyways, a lot of reasons why I'm a big Jaina fan. But anyways, moving right along, let's look at Tyrande. I think Tyrande is a strong pick on this map because, again, the vision control, her owls during the teamfight phase and middle, every time the Immortal spawns, I think the owls provide a good amount of vision. I think her stun over the wall is really powerful as well. And, of course, being able to have our support, which we were a little bit, I think, sketched out by only having Tyrande as support, solo supporting on this map, if I remember correctly, in the lobby, but I think we decided that we'd be able to do it because we had the split pushing power for Murky and Sylvanas. And having Murky and Sylvanas on the same team just gives you so much push potential, and I think it's a factor that a lot of people overlook. But being able to force the enemy to have to stay and defend their wall on a map like this is really important, especially when you want to. I think the game is going to get closed out here, so I'll finish going over what red team strengths were. I think I've already pretty much covered them, but just map pressure. Map pressure is huge, and there's some maps where map pressure is more important than others. There are some maps where you can get away with not having that much map pressure and still win the game, but on a map like this, if you're pushed up against your wall, there's no real way you can move forward past your wall and into the center of the map to contest the objective. So when you have Murky constantly knocking and being a nuisance down here, dealing siege damage the entire time, and you have Sylvanas wailing away at the top wall, you're basically forced to take two of your people and say, okay, we have to stop them from pushing, which leaves them with 3 people, which basically sets up, like, we'll go back here real quick to the one fight I think pretty much dictated this game and pretty much gave red team the snowball advantage that they rolled on it till the end of the game pretty much. We were always just one step ahead because of this one fight. I'm not sure if it was this one. I think it might have actually been even a little bit... Yeah, it was a little bit sooner than this, I think. It was before the Immortal went down. But on this map, I think having good map pressure is really, really important. And it's not only for keeping control of the objective, but in addition to keeping control of the objective, you also, it's kind of like Haunted Mines, where depending on how far along you can let your boss objective push, the more way you can clear for it, the more effective your map objective is actually going to be when you do get it. So, for example, if this top tower is missing here, or like say you get both of these towers down before the Immortal spawns, that's a lot of stuff that the Immortal doesn't have to waste time attacking. It's a lot more time the Immortal can spend dealing damage up here at the front gates, right? Or I guess the back gates you would call them. I don't know, the keeps, like the big stuff. So, push potential on maps like this, where you have a set objective that pushes along a set path. It's pretty much like an escort mission. It's like any golem on Haunted Mines. It's like you escort your map objective to attack the enemy base. Anything like that, the stronger your laners are and the stronger you can keep the push potential going, just like this, the farther along your NPC objective will be able to push without being contested, and that lets you just put pressure more on the enemy base and forces them to defend, which in turn lets you win more objectives. So I think there's a cap eventually to how useful these split pushers are. Once you start getting towards their keeps, split pushing kind of becomes almost impossible to pull off. It's a bit of a different story with Murky. He's a really unique hero in that he can pretty much split push the entire game and not get too punished for it. But overall, I think on this map, being able to have two pushers was a really big deal. And of course we had Sonya. I think the Sonya worked out really well. I'm not entirely sure why she worked out so well this game. Probably just because of the snowball advantage we got from that one fight, I think. And Sonya is a hero that can really excel with a snowball advantage like that. I guess last thing to look at here, I don't think we actually made it to level 20, but Murky took the Blood for Blood, which gives him a very powerful single target burst build, and as you can see he got a lot of siege damage, and he didn't do that much hero damage this game actually, but I took this build from this guy this game because I thought it was really unique and interesting, and I've tried this exact same build on this map myself, and I've actually like topped hero damage quite a few times. It's very easy to do so. It's very easy to top both siege and hero damage while using this build on this particular map. I don't know if this would work on every map, but on a lot of maps it could be a very, very strong option. Anyways, I think I've been talking for a really long time and not even realized it. So I'm going to go ahead and close out this video. I'd like to say thank you for watching. Take it easy, and until next time, have a good one.